Like IDignity, of course, is a very important organization to our office, the tax collector's office. People don't realize the thousands of people out there that have trouble and struggle getting an identification, a proper identification, which is really the basis of being able to do a lot of things. Obviously, get jobs, get benefits, get on your feet. And IDignity has been there to take care of the difficult cases that exist out there with people that need a lot of help in getting the documents necessary to form the foundation of getting that identification.
It's something that I did not know existed and did not realize was a problem with people that have no identities, that they just can't get on their feet without one. So it's a great cause, and the people running it, they do a great job. So.
As IDignity, it's a great program that not everybody know about. Not everybody can relate to the situation where people can get, and honestly what they're doing is great. They're bringing people back to where they belong.
So IDignity provides a huge support for our efforts, and by that I mean often when we run into someone that we need to identify as part of our process, having that identification allows us to maybe spend a lot less time with that individual, to not have to put them through a process to try to verify our databases, to go through their fingerprints and go through all that just to see whom they are. That small opportunity for someone to get an ID that maybe they can't even afford to have is huge, But again, sometimes we take the little things for granted that for some people mean the world.
We've had several individuals that have worked here that have needed the help of IDignity, and they've done a lot for them. So it's when you meet someone that's in that situation, it's a head scratcher at times. That how could you possibly be in this predicament? And then you hear about it, and it's like, oh my gosh. And so, like I said, what I've learned from Michael, Ann, and the rest of the group, that it's something that's greatly needed in not only this area, in the country.
Yeah, I never realized this was even an issue. Not having birth certificates or identifications or the means to get either or without one or the other, and it's something that you kind of take for granted because it's just kind of given to you. But if you don't have it, it's just a big hinder. So I'm glad there are people in this community who see that and are able to help.
Yeah, so I've been a big supporter and fan of IDignity. They provide identification for some of our most vulnerable population, and identification and birth certificates and social security cards. You need that stuff to open up a bank account, get a job, get permanent housing, so many different things you need that we all take for granted. And the fact that they have this organization that helps those people get their identification and be proud of who they are. And that all starts with being able to prove who you are. And again, we all take that for granted, but you really need identification to help yourself be successful in this life.
Supporting IDignity is something I feel like it does more good than I even realize. The way it touches people's lives and lets them either pick up where they left off or lets them start anew, I think is just something that you can't really do in any other way.
I think it's such an essential part of life, and people don't have access to it. And I personally have family members that have had difficulty trying to gain access to their IDs. So I can just think of them, and I think it's incredibly important.
So for me, IDignity is such a fantastic organization. They sort of do something that a lot of people don't think about. You're maybe in a situation where you've lost all your paperwork, maybe you're homeless or something happened, and you've lost your ID, you've lost your passport, you've lost your birth certificate. And in order to get all the things that maybe are rightfully yours, you need those things. And a lot of people who have always had them, they don't think about it, but when you lose them, it can be an uphill battle. So you guys do a fantastic job of what you do.
I don't have any money to give, so I have time and whatever energy and whatever talent I appear to have, I'm more than willing to give it up for IDignity.
Before I became aware of IDignity a year ago, it was really the problem of people being able to get a hold of their identification was really a problem that it had never occurred to me that this problem exists. So definitely was alarming when I found out about it, because I've been there. I think we've all been there in a situation where we need something and we have to navigate all this kind of bureaucratic stuff, and it's pretty tough for those of us that are even running businesses or, you know, have a solid base underneath us. So I'm very excited. I think it's a very worthy cause.
Yeah, IDignity, you know, this is one of the organizations I really love working with. You know what, people complain about the homeless population in downtown Atlanta, but they don't realize people need to access services. And one of the first things that happens to people when they're on the street is they either get their identification stolen or they lose it. And I have to tell you, think about all the times a day that you need identification to get a driver's license, to take your driver's license to get a job. So if you're homeless, you don't have work, you can't get a job without identification. All these things are so important, and IDignity helps people access identification and resources. They help veterans get off the street. I can't say enough nice things about what IDignity does and their mission, and that's why it's so critically important to support this organization, and not just to look down upon people who are less fortunate, but to do something to help them get back on their feet. And thank you, IDignity, for doing that.
Well, I believe that as a chef, you give back to community. That's basically what we do. And you know, I'm the dean of a culinary and hospitality school, so we combine food and service.
So a great community starts with people, not with institutions. It's the institutions that serve the people, not the other way around. And persons are at the center of all that. So without an identity, without a carrying card, without the ability to get a job, to pay a bill, to receive payment for what you do, to sign a lease, to buy a cell phone. I mean, there's so many ways in which our nominal identity actually frees us up to work out our real identity in all the other things we do. And it was amazing to me to hear for the first time years ago that there are people who have lost their formal identity. And what a handicap to work against. So I feel like I'm in the train of a hero who's figured out a way to reinstate thousands and thousands of people's ability to work and compete and build a flourishing life for themselves and their families with that simple one gift. You're real again in our economy and in our state. And who wouldn't want to be a part of that?